from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Tuesday, August 24th. So we are coming out of what has been a very transformative time with the full moon energy. And we're not quite moving into the next phase yet. We still have a little bit of illumination to do, a little bit of realization to do. We're fine-tuning all of the aha moments that came in. We're recognizing how much has changed. And the moon is still very much in Pisces and will be going void, of course, at 6:13 a.m., locking into Aries at 3:57 p.m., again, Atlantic Standard Time. So anytime we're coming out of the Piscean energy and jumping into the Arian energy, we feel that shift. Things are kind of spacey and dreamy and illusionary. Well, in Piscean energy, we technically don't want to deal with life. We've been escaping our roles and responsibilities. We are definitely all up in our feels, super hypersensitive in that Piscean energy. And when we switch into that Arian energy, it's that fire energy that brings us back to life. We're passionate again. We're aggressive again. We're fired up. We're excited about things. We want to get the ball rolling. We want to see new experiences actually take form. So we have 8 different aspects taking place today, 7 of them involving the moon, and mostly the Piscean moon. We don't even get a taste of the Arian energy until later on in the day. So we do have to sort through some unstable thinking, some unstable feelings, some indecisiveness, so to speak, because of course we had a huge energy shift that we're still trying to adjust to. We are very rooted, very grounded in our to-do list and what it is that we have to do in order to bridge the gap from where it is that we're at to where it is that we want to be. So the moon, the very first thing that the moon in Pisces does here today is it comes up to, sits next to Neptune, its ruler, which is retrograde, which is really going to put a huge emphasis on our dream state. Now, this could be while we're asleep, having some wacky dreams, some very interesting insights come through in our dream state, but also daydreaming has been very strong, very intense. We can thank this particular aspect to adding to the imaginative sessions that we've been having, the visions coming in. We are super sensitive, but that is a good thing because that means our intuition is strong. We're picking up on messages and cues from our higher self, from the divine cosmos. We are definitely doing a lot of inner healing work by recognizing where it is that we've gotten too rooted, too weighted in our physical realms, where it is that we need to really allow our mental planes, our dream states to expand and inspire us with what is possible and what it is that we want once again. So the moon makes this really kind of not so nice aspect with Saturn, the Lord of Karma, who of course is negative Nancy on steroids. Just when we had this beautiful alignment of, the vision and the dream that we're trying to manifest, Saturn wants to kick in and remind us that, we have to clean up the mess first. We have things that need to end in order for us to begin new things. Saturn wants to kind of remind us of our responsibilities, of all the things that we've been trying to avoid. Yes, it's summertime, but the energy has also added to us throwing a lot of things to the back burner. And now Saturn is kind of reminding us that, the fun is kind of over. If you want these dreams, you want these visions, you want these new realities to emerge, you best be ready to do the work. We are now in Virgo season, which means that we're all about doing the physical work necessary in order to align with the new vision that we're bringing in through our crown, through our third eye that we know we want to move closer to. So it's not the best energy, but it does apply a certain pressure to us where we are feeling the kind of the weight of the roles and responsibilities that we are committed to completing and finishing before we can invite new elements into our life. And the moon actually makes this beautiful aspect with the true node that provides us with an aha moment. It kind of shows us where it is that, Saturn wants us to see the blocks, to see the challenges, to see all the reasons of why we can't have what we want, why we won't be able to manifest that beautiful dream that we had earlier on. And the true node is saying, you know what? Rework your narrative, rework the emotion there, and recognize where it is that you have the opportunity to move past that negative narrative, move past those old emotions trying to hold you back in a pain and trauma pattern, with fears and insecurities creeping up, trying to talk us out of why it is that we'll never be able to live in the vision and the dream that we're working so hard to manifest. So once we have this aha moment, we realize where it is that, we've had some forces working against us, and most of those forces we've given permission to. And once we recognize where it is that we've been standing in our own way, suddenly there's a huge growth, a huge expansion that takes place in our heart space, in our head space, that kind of, tells negative Nancy to get the hell out of here. We remind ourselves of the vision, of the path that we want to be moving forward on, because of course we know now, because we had the opportunity over the last month to choose one timeline over the other, we know what timeline we're working with now. We might not have all the answers, we might not have all the details ironed out, but at least we have a general direction that we're moving towards, and we're not going to let Saturn or negative Nancy stand in our way. This aha moment, this revelation, this recognition of where it is that we have to rework our thinking and rework our emotions. This is a beautiful opportunity and a beautiful stage being set for the moon in Pisces to actually sextile with Pluto, the god of the underworld. Yes, he's retrograde. Yes, he's in Capricorn. Yes, he's trying really hard to illuminate for us where it is that our fears lie, that our insecurities are still alive within us, all of the times that we've given our power away because it was easier to succumb to negative Nancy and let negative Nancy be right. And this particular energy allows for a huge transformation to take over, where we stuff negative Nancy that much further down in the darkness, in the shadows. Instead, we choose to empower ourselves. We choose to say, in spite of negative Nancy and this negative narrative running in our head of all the reasons of why we're never going to get what we want, now we're going to let that fuel the fire to push us past the emotional blocks that have been preventing us from truly aligning with what it is that we want, need, and deserve. Push our mental plane past those criticisms, those highly judgmental perspectives that, of course, we're having very naturally with Mercury in his place of power in Virgo, just picking things apart, analyzing everything right to death. The sun is now in Virgo, just illuminating all of the intricacies of how we've allowed things happen in the past and how we have to be aware of those past patterns and behaviors in order to prevent them from happening in the future. Why do we want to prevent them? Well, because if we want something different, we have to do things differently. If we stick to the same patterns and behaviors, we are only ever going to get what it is we've already got. The moon in Pisces goes ahead and makes an aspect with Jupiter. Jupiter, of course, is retrograde in Aquarian energy, wanting to really illuminate where it is that we have to step outside of our comfort zones, push the boundaries of our thinking, really tap back into the positive, the optimistic faith that we have to have in order to actually see our dreams come to life. The negative part of this particular aspect is that we're so focused on what it is that we want more of. So, maybe we want more love, or maybe we want more stability, or maybe we want more money, more opportunity, more space, more freedom, more independence, whatever the case may be. When we allude to the fact that we want something more, a very tricky thing happens in our mental plane, which means that we're so focused on the more that we want that we actually slip into a scarcity perspective, meaning that, yes, we might want more love, but now we recognize the love that we don't have right now, the love that we're lacking right now. Yes, we might want more money, but now we're alluded to the fact of the money that we don't currently have. So we do have an opportunity to spiral very quickly here. And because Jupiter is a magnifier and is able to kind of turn the volume all the way up on whatever energies we're tapping into, We could find ourselves really overwhelmed with all of the negative, the scarcity mindset, the lack of mindset, instead of allowing the more to inspire us, to push us into optimism, to push us into confidence. So it could be very overwhelming for us. We can definitely be feeling too much of these emotions. And again, depending on how your focus is, your discipline in your mental plane, you could really slip into a negative Nancy, lack of scarcity type of mindset. The moon in Pisces makes one last aspect before moving into Arian energy, which is a semi-crisis point with Uranus. Uranus is the great awakener. He likes to shock and awe us with new information, new aha moments, new details coming in and emerging in our physical realities. Uranus is now retrograde in Taurus, which is kind of giving us a little bit of shake up, a little bit of a wake up, a little bit of disruption in our lives. Now, a lot of you have commented on the Uranus retrograde post about how sad it is or how scary it is or how nervous you are for this. Let me be very clear. If you are finding that your world is disrupted in all the wrong kind of ways, it is happening for your own good. Uranian energy disrupts, shocks, and awes us when we are too comfortable in a situation that is out of alignment with our authentic self and purpose. So if you are finding that your world has been kind of shook up like a snow globe and things are falling apart and things are changing very rapidly, yes, it might be scary. Yes, it might trigger fear. Yes, it triggers a lot of uncertainty. But the one thing that you be absolutely sure about is that it's happening for you. It's not happening to you, it's happening for you so that you can bust out of what was a comfortable zone for you, being in an unauthentic space for your heart and soul's purpose, and try to kind of shake you up and wake you up to new alternatives that you could build, new foundations you could build, new relationships you could build, new resources you could tap into, new skills and talents and abilities that you could start using that are more authentic, more empowered, more supportive of who it is that you are and who it is that you're trying to be, who it is that you're destined to be, who it is that you've come here to discover. And so I really want to flip the narrative. There are no aspects, even the tough ones, even the uncomfortable ones, there are no aspects that you should be sad about, and you sure as hell should not be fearful about them, because everything is divinely scripted to get us on the path to our most authentic expression, which is our identity. You cannot become who it is that you're destined to be in the confines of your comfort zone. That's not where life happens. Life happens when you're uncomfortable, when you're forced to change, when you're forced to consider what it is that you truly want out of life. And many of us never reach that point because we're too damn comfortable with what is uncomfortable, with what is familiar, with what is quote unquote safe. We're not here to play it safe. We're here to align with the sole purpose of finding our truest selves. And that does not happen when we live in our comfort zones. I digress. The moon in Pisces, making this little bit of a crisis energy with this Uranian energy, is going to disrupt us. It is going to create a lot of confusion. It is going to have us overwhelmed in our mental space because now we have to reconsider what it is that we want, what it is that we need. This is a prime example of having us kind of shook up to see a different perspective. Many of us who even have a new dream and a new vision that we're looking to actually manifest, we're very fixated in this has to happen first, or it has to happen this way, or I would be open to change if it was this. Well, newsflash, we don't get to have things happen in the linear, logical, practical way that Mercury in Virgo and the Sun in Virgo would love us to follow in that process, in that procedure. Life happens, and it might not happen according to your plan. but it will happen according to your higher self's plan, because that is the soul contract that you entered into this realm to live, to experience, to fulfill. And so you best believe that your ego, your identity, might want it to happen in a certain way, but your higher self knows the way that it has to happen in order to bust that shell that you have been comfortable in living in and expose you to a brand new opportunity, a brand new choice, a brand new path. Then the moon switches into Aryan energy. We get a little bit of burst of energy. We get a little bit of aggression. We're a little bit fired up. That's what confusion does, is it fires us up to find answers, to find a new path, to find a new experience. So the moon in Aries goes ahead and makes a very interesting aspect with the sun, who is in Virgo. We have to look at the elemental energy here. We have a fire moon with an earth sun, right? There's a little bit of conflict there. We have to remember that when we take earth energy, let's think of the forest, and we add fire to it. Well, if there is a little bit of fire, we can have a controlled fire that allows us to see in the dark, that allows us to cook our food, that allows us to clear out the dead terrain in order for new, fresh terrain to actually grow. But if there's too much fire, the whole the whole forest is going to burn down. We don't want that. And if we throw earth on that fire, meaning there's too much earth and not enough fire, we're going to snuff that fire out. So there is a balancing act when we talk about fire and earth energies. What we have the opportunity to do with this particular aspect is to learn. We have to learn where it is that the old part of ourself is scared, is vulnerable, is fearful, where the new part of ourself is excited, passionate, and aggressive in order to make change. We have to recognize where we are a little bit more comfortable to stay where we're at because it's familiar, it's predictable. But we also have to acknowledge where the new part, the new elements are requiring us to grow outside of our comfort zone, outside of what is familiar, outside of what is predictable. We have to kind of understand here that there is a push and pull happening between our emotions and our thoughts, our old parts of self and our new parts of self. We're trying really hard to balance these energies, and from that comes a huge opportunity to learn where it is we need to make a little bit of effort to push ourselves outside of the comfort zone. Maybe we're just taking a baby step, and where it is that we have to be a little bit more patient with all the transformations, all the changes that we're actively trying to pursue, because again, we're in Virgo season. Everything is slow. Everything is heavy. Everything is weighted in logical and practical action. We have to take strategic and calculated baby steps that we know are going to be strong enough to create a foundation for us to house the new dreams that we're looking to manifest. So emotionally, we're going to want to just, bust through, take charge, take action, make things happen. But that is not how we have to operate right now, and that in itself can be a little bit frustrating. So to wrap up the day, we have Mercury again in its place of power in Virgo, opposing Neptune in a retrograde in her place of power in Pisces. So let's talk about this for a second. Mercury is the ruler of the mental plane, bringing in information, kind of helping us, with the details of our life, helping us communicate logically and practically. We are definitely more on the caution, on the side of logic, of facts, of data, of statistics. The problem with that is that we don't allow enough space and time for dreams, for spirit, for soul, for intuition. That is where the Neptune energy comes in. Neptune energy is dreamy. It's a visionary. It's outside of this physical reality, when the Mercury and Virgo energy is only about this earthly realm, only about our physical reality. So what we're going to find here is that our mind is wandering. Our mind is wandering a little bit away from the facts, a little bit too far into the pool of imaginary land. And then once we realize that we're in the pool of imaginary land, then we're dreaming up this big dream, this big, huge vision that is so unrealistic, so out of the realms of reality that we have to tap back into that mercurial energy and bring ourselves back down to earth. It's like we're on a teeter-totter and we go from logic to dream life. We go from imagination to practicality. We go from the mental plane to the vision. And we have to find a common ground. And it's not going to come easy. We're going to have a very skewed way of looking at our current situation and of the dream, of the vision of what is actually possible. So going to sleep, we are definitely going to feel a lot of pressure in the mental plane. I would really highly think that we're going to get some super good insight as we go to bed, because our mental plane connected to our ego, this earthly physical form, is wide open, is looking to process new information, is looking for any kind of details that we can work with. And of course, that Neptune energy wants to put us asleep, wants to kind of let us float off into dream and imaginary land, and wants us to tap into the unconscious so that we can bring little tidbits of information into the conscious mind. And of course, once we wake up, we'll have a different perspective, different attitude entirely.